Thank you, Prem, and appreciate that very kind introduction. It's great to be here, and I appreciate the invitation to this conference. And George, it's nice meeting you as well. I was just listening to the winners of the contest, and I'm happy to note that my wife's alma mater, I Am Ahmedabad, came out on top. So that's perfect.
Excellent.
Yeah. So listen, I'll take a few minutes here and talk about a couple of things, and we'll take a few questions at the end. And as you know, when I initially accepted this invitation to speak with you all, I was asked to deliver this speech on a topic that titled FedEx Then, Now, and Next. Well, a great deal has happened since the moment that I agreed to do this event. And as Prem just pointed out, that the company announced recently that I would be assuming the role of CEO from our legendary founder, Fred Smith, on June the 1st. So let me just start by acknowledging what an honor it is to be taking at the helm of this incredible company. From the day it was founded, FedEx has thrived under the direction of one CEO, our founder and chairman, Fred Smith. And for those of you who have the pleasure of knowing Fred or will get to know him, his leadership is just an absolute inspiration. His vision has changed the world, and it's been a tremendous learning opportunity for me to work alongside with him for so many years. And if you look at the last 50 years, at very critical turning points, FedEx has relentlessly reinvented itself to meet the challenge and the opportunity of a fast-changing world, and I guarantee you, we will continue to do so. To go back to the original inspiration for FedEx, this was a never-before-seen organization, just designed specifically to accommodate time-sensitive shipments such as medicine, critical parts, and electronics, and it was perfectly timed to meet the needs of an economy that was entering the computer age in the 1970s. And Fred shrewdly observed way back in 1978, and that's important, way back in 1978, that the information about the package is as important as the package itself. So because of that insightful observation, we were the first to have the ability to track a package from where it was sent to when it arrived. Our expansion to Europe, Asia, and beyond in the 80s positioned FedEx to connect the world like never before, just as global trade was opening new frontiers at rapid speed. And when the internet revolution came along in the 90s, FedEx was ready too. Because of our principal commitment to the information tracking and digitization, FedEx.com was one of the very first destinations on the internet where one could look up practical real-time information. Very early on, FedEx had a public web page up where you could enter the tracking number of your package and know exactly where it was. It was indeed one of the very, very first applications on the internet. At each of these crossroads, FedEx was guided by its purpose, connecting people and possibilities to chart its future. And my job is to carry that bright torch lit by our founder for the next generation. And indeed, today, we are at another crossroads. The COVID pandemic has circled the globe and it turned a subject that's always been at the focus of our thinking at FedEx into a pressing worldwide concern, and that subject is the reliability of the global supply chain. How do we make the supply chain more resilient? How do we make it more efficient? I think most importantly, the question is, how do we make it more predictable? Well, throughout my more than 30 years at FedEx, these are questions I've confronted at every stage in my career. But I never, for a moment, imagined that supply chain logistics would be on the front page of every newspaper, a nightly topic of debate on cable news, and a top-of-mind concern for consumers and CEOs alike. The pandemic has fully revealed that we are not only more interconnected than any other time in human history, but also more interdependent. And the resulting supply chain crisis and the financial market fallout from it are revealing even more interconnections and interdependencies, and they're changing the backdrop for business, economies, and healthcare systems once again. A supply disruption in just one product, microchips, for instance, triggers a cascade of shortages impacting the entire global economy. A car assembly line in South Carolina needs to ensure a shipment of cruise control mechanisms that arrives from Germany in time to meet a tight production schedule. And oh, by the way, those cruise control mechanisms depend on custom chips arriving at the right time from South Korea. And not to mention, everything needs to clear customs, meet import regulations, and navigate heightened security concerns. So these inefficiencies and blind spots that exist across supply chains have now been exposed more than ever. The lack of real-time information available to businesses and governments exacerbate these challenges. So at these crossroads, FedEx is once again well positioned to lead the way. And as always we have done, we connect people and possibilities. And one important way that we will do so is by using predictive intelligence. With new tools at our disposal, the opportunities are limitless, to be honest. The power of AI, the power of cloud computing, other emerging technologies combined make it possible to forecast where goods need to be and how to get them there as efficiently as possible. Put it simply, it'll revolutionize our perspective. We will go from a comprehensive view of the present to a highly confident view of the future. Predictive intelligence will help FedEx fulfill our core mission. Since the company was founded, an unparalleled physical network supported by groundbreaking data insights advanced the company's purpose. Today, I believe that this equation can work in both directions. FedEx can also be an unparalleled data insights platform supported by a physical network, benefiting our interconnected world and taking us to new heights. We'll help the world move away from just in time to the right time, right place via the right solution. So by capitalizing on predictive intelligence, we will create meaningful outcomes for everyone that FedEx touches. For our customers, that promises to empower them with greater control, visibility, and flexibility. For our shareholders, it means improved profitability by unlocking higher efficiency throughout the network. And for our employees, the age of predictive intelligence opens opportunities to do exciting work, connecting people with good services and ideas and improving lives. Like the very, very first FedEx employees, they will have great stories to tell their children about working at this company. Now, taking advantage of new technologies is never easy. Predictive intelligence is spawning a whole new generation of innovation at this company. For example, we created FedEx DataWorks, a startup within this organization that applies a decision science approach to our work, improves how we serve our customers and how our customers serve their customers. FedEx DataWorks is showing us new ways to harness all that information generated by over 16 million plus shipments, FedEx shipments every single day, which are scanned somewhere between 20 and 30 times along the way. To put it very simply, FedEx DataWorks exists to make supply chains work smarter for everyone. FedEx DataWorks' first new solution was FedEx Surround, that leverages artificial intelligence and predictive tools to enable proactive monitoring of time-sensitive shipments and the environment they travel through, such as weather conditions, temperature, etc., all elements vital to the preservation of goods. Now, this couldn't have come soon enough because for FedEx Surround monitors a package of vaccines throughout its journey and determines where the package might be delayed so the issues causing those delays can be addressed very quickly. It ensures that the shipment is transported at the proper temperature along the most efficient route. And this solution helped us achieve a 99.91% success rate in getting COVID vaccines delivered on the committed delivery date. We have been delivering COVID-19 vaccines safely and reliably with an average delivery time of less than 20 hours to every zip code in the United States and to all 13 Canadian provinces and territories. We worked very closely with our healthcare customers on a highly orchestrated and precise distribution plan. The first week the vaccine was available was in December 2020. We delivered millions of doses, and we scaled our capacity as volumes increased. In fact, we delivered the very first vaccine in the United States on December 14th, 2020. And to date, FedEx has delivered more than 500 million COVID vaccine doses. Months after we started shipping vaccines, in February 2021, a historic winter storm crippled much of the southern United States. Now I'm talking to people in Canada, perhaps on snow, but in Memphis, this is a big deal, and it impacted service, especially to some of our critical healthcare accounts. And millions of people across the United States lost power for days, and our hometown had a boil water advisory for 7 days. But we needed to improve our service levels immediately to unclog our vital Memphis hub, the heart of our FedEx Express network, and move life-saving medical products to their final destination. So here, FedEx DataWorks team partnered with our hub operations and to develop a fully automated tool that, when applied on a much broader global scale, has the potential to speed up problem solving around potential delays in order to keep the flow of goods moving to the final destination. These are living examples of the type of innovation that I intend to drive throughout this organization. Now, in closing, I will leave you with 3 points. First, the world is at a crossroads. Our economies, healthcare systems, and societies are incredibly interconnected. And in a time of disruption, we must find new ways to manage. Our supply chains for critical goods must stay strong, and that's the only way you build resilience and stimulate growth. Second, predictive intelligence will help navigate these crossroads. We'll reliably move goods around the world and makes people's lives easier by better forecasting for a package, the right time and the right place for a delivery via the right solution. And third, FedEx is indeed very well positioned at these crossroads, but we must evolve. Indeed, we are already doing so, building on that unique insight from Fred 45 years ago that the information about a package is as a critical element of success. FedEx's evolution will create opportunities for employees to continue to do groundbreaking, vital work while creating meaningful outcomes for our customers. It also benefits our shareholders through improved profitability. Through it all, we remain unwavering in our purpose of connecting people with goods, services, and ideas to create opportunities and improve lives. I appreciate the invitation very much, Prem. Thank you for having me here today. With that, I will turn it over to you all for any questions I can answer for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Raj. We'll now open the floor to questions for Mr. Subramaniam.
A question from Greg Lee, who says, thank you for your valuable insights. Given that other companies are also rushing towards data and connectivity to deliver valuable insights, how can one position more competitively in this regard? What are some measures we could be looking at to accurately assess this development?
Yeah, it's a terrific question. And I think because the nature of this is the ability to, first of all, be in control of a lot of data. Today's supply chain is different from yesterday's supply chain, will be different from tomorrow's. And the active intelligence that rides on the true data, that the richness of the data is important to provide the insights. So I think the competitive element comes in because of the very fact that we have built the physical networks already in place. When we have a network that transports almost 20 million packages a day with so much data intensity, then there is a potential to create so much more value when you add in external information, contextualize that information, provide new value to the customers, and so on and so forth. And I think that's a very important component. Sometimes people try to provide the data and the technology, but they don't have the underlying information or data. Then the insights are only as valuable as you can get there. But if you already have the physical network, if you're already producing the data every single day when a truck FedEx truck drives down that road, you see the truck, but it's also got logistics intelligence on that truck. Then you unlock so much more value. And I think companies with strong physical network and physical infrastructure have a competitive advantage in this regard because they have so much more insights they can provide.
Yeah, thank you. Another question, Elena?
Yes. How is FedEx addressing the challenges of climate change?
Yeah, so this is a very important topic for us. I call our strategy pretty as simple as ABC. A is atoms and our physical network. So we are an unparalleled physical network in the world. We can pick up anything from one part of the world and get it to any other part of the world in double quick time. And so that's part of A. B is bits, the technology strategy that we just started talking about. And C is carbon efficiency. These things work together for us. And we were proud to be the first company in our industry to announce that we will be carbon neutral by 2040. We took this bold step, a couple of years ago, and this is very important for us. And we know some of the answers to the problems, but we also know that there are fundamental research has to be done as well. So we, in fact, donated $100 million to stand up the Yale Center for Natural Carbon Capture, and that center is being stood up as we speak to do fundamental research on how to get to that carbon neutral goal. So whether it's electrification on our road transport vehicles, whether it is our sustainable facilities that we have, the role of sustainable aviation fuels, and the new research that's going to help us to get there. So yes, we are very committed to it. This is very important for us, and we are out ahead of everybody else in our industry, and something that we're working very hard on.
Thank you. Another question, Elena?
Yes, we have someone from the audience who asks, do you feel that friendshoring will impact FedEx? And if yes, how so?
Friendshoring, did you say?
It's a new word that one of the speakers introduced. So
okay, is it? Well, I got to understand the concept better. I wonder if it is about moving manufacturing to closer places or something else.
So as opposed to offshoring, I guess friendshoring, I expect in that.
All right, so that's a very important point here. So we are already seeing a lot of customers, who are looking to diversify their supply chain into different markets so that they're not overly dependent on one particular market. I have to say that this is a lot easier said than done, because if you already have a manufacturing ecosystem in place in one particular place, then you have everything you need for your in one place. So for the screen, the nut, the bolt, the components are all there. So if you lift and shift, then you got to worry about all those parts coming together. However, there is a definite focus on doing that, and we see that we see more and more companies starting to take the step of diversifying, whether it is getting closer to the consumer, or in places that are more friendly, as you say. So from our perspective, this is fine, because we have a global network. We serve 220 countries when we're connected, and we are able to move our assets in a way to monitor the demand patterns and move accordingly. That's the beauty of having a network, and I keep using that word because people don't understand what a true network is when you already have the network and the switches in place, we can move the nodes pretty easily and then still be connected to the entire world. And so we can move this around to suit the demands. So the important thing is to monitor carefully and be a little bit ahead of where the demand's going to go, and we feel we can do that.
Another question, Elena?
Yes, of course. Someone asks, who is your main competitor and what can you learn from them?
Yeah, we have two primary facing competitors, UPS and DHL, and they're very, very worthy competitors, and it's they make us better every single day. We have FedEx is a challenger brand in many ways. We were started 66 years after UPS, and so we had to fight our way in the space. And but as we have looked over the last 20 years, we have narrowed the gap, and we have now in a position to substantially catch up both in revenue and operating profit. So we will do that.
Another question, Elena?
Yes, there's another one that refers again to on the topic of data and connectivity. Just curious to learn more about how you're approaching capital allocation in that environment.
On data?
Yes.
Well, so this is a great part of a story here, is that we already have the data, and so what we are doing here is to create new value for our customers on our existing investments we made on our capital. That's what I was just mentioning. When you see that hub or when you see that FedEx truck, that CapEx is already spent, but it's not what we're the thinking here is that it's not only a physical asset. There's logistics intelligence that's riding on that truck that we can now leverage and just improve on our returns on our CapEx, because that CapEx is already invested and the data is already there. We have some technological, but they're much smaller, and to drive this new value creation. And again, it was fully evident in the distribution of the millions and millions of vaccines as we were able to leverage our existing network, but with very very good intelligence and insights about the package.
I see here one question came in the chat, which Elena may not be able to see. It says, what is FedEx current relationships with Amazon, and do you see Amazon as a future delivery competitor?
So, we made a decision about 3 years ago to cut away from Amazon. Look, Amazon's a very important company, and it's done a lot of obviously very famous and so on and so forth. But we figured that on the e-commerce front, that for what tactical and strategic reasons, tactically, we couldn't come to a commercial agreement that made sense for us. On a strategic basis, we want to partner with retailers to strategically combine their stores as assets with our logistics infrastructure to provide better value proposition to the end customer. The e-commerce market is large and is growing dramatically, and we didn't want to be dependent on one large customer. And so we want a much more diversified customer base, small, medium, large customers, but very diversified, and be on the side of providing omni-channel solutions for retailers. And that's exactly what we did, and it's worked. And so when you hear stories about these .com omni-channel growth from a lot of these retailers, even though each of them are much smaller than the Amazon story, but in combined, they're pretty big when you put it all together. You can rest assured there's a FedEx story right behind that. So that strategy has really worked. And as far as competitor, we'll see, because Amazon's networks is very different than the hub and spokes networks we just talked about. They have much more fulfillment centers, and they feed into the last mile. And while when you have an ability to pick up something from any one part of the world and deliver it to any other part of the world, it's a very different thing. So we feel the market's big. We are leaning into it. We have the opportunity to create more value for our customers. So that that's where we are.
Another question, Elena?
How do you see the evolving role and the impact of freight forwarders like DSV within your sector?
Yeah, freight forwarders have a role to play. We have our own freight forwarding arm called FedEx Logistics under the FedEx Trade Networks under the FedEx Logistics company. So especially in the last few years, the companies that have own assets have really succeeded here because of the capacity shortage in the intercontinental area. So yes, freight forwarders have a role to play. The air cargo market is something like $100 billion, something in that range. and out of which the express piece of the market is in the $30 to $40 billion, but the revenue per package in the express is much higher than what you see in the freight forwarder. So there's a role for the freight forwarders. We have our own house forwarder, and so we will continue to look at the entire portfolio from small package business to heavyweight, and we have the capability to move all across the way from small packages to freight, all parts of the world. That's what's unique about FedEx.
Another question, Elena?
Yeah, sure. So someone asks, what is your biggest concern in terms of costs?
Costs? Yeah, I mean, the last year I've been very public about this. The rising input costs because of labor have been quite significant, and especially since about summer of last year. And so that, and so we have obviously that's now in our numbers, and we have dealt with it. But that was the biggest issue.
Any more questions, Elena?
I will ask one last question from somebody in the Q&A. A lot of people were definitely curious about your thoughts on Amazon. Somebody asks, do Uber, Amazon, or other data-rich technology disruptors pose any kind of threat to traditional delivery companies such as FedEx?
We don't, honestly, look, companies like Uber and so on and so forth, when you talk about the industrial scale of what we're talking about, delivering, high value goods from any point in the world to any other point in the world, the scale of our operations, the number of hubs that we have, the facilities that we have, it's very, so people just confuse between a network business and what is in the last mile. People forget about the first few thousand miles in that process. So, I'll just leave it there.